Hello everybody, I am Mark Werber, the Director of Association Management Software. I'm joined today by Diane Clem, a Senior Trainer from the AMS Support Department.
Hi everyone.
Welcome to today's timely presentation. We're going to cover membership counts. Membership counts to compare your member counts against the membership counts at NAR. So we thoughtfully called this Revenge of Nerds. There's going to be lots of nerds joining us today, right, Diane?
That's absolutely right. All of our favorites will be here.
This webinar comes to you live from our multimedia studios here in Simi Valley, California. As I always say, it takes a village to pull these webinars off, so I'd like to take a moment to introduce those behind the scenes. From left to right, Sabrina Steffen, our marketing coordinator, followed by Mark Boatman, our multimedia specialist. That's me right there in the middle, followed by Diane and Frank, your wonderful trainers. Today's webinar is using our current version of Rapattoni Magic. That version is 10.1.06. If you're not on the most recent version of Rapattoni Magic, please contact the support department to request your upgrade.
Today's agenda, membership counts. What are membership counts? How do we get our membership counts from nerds? And how do we compare those nerds counts to our membership counts in Magic by using the nerds verification utility? This utility is an easy way to compare our association counts with nerds, and we're going to show you a comprehensive report that'll help you go through your data and make any necessary corrections. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at our own membership counts. But what if we look at our membership counts and we notice that our counts in Magic are not the same as our counts in NAR? Gosh, look at those nerds. You know, at Rapattoni, we do love nerds. So if those counts don't match, the ones in Magic and the ones at NAR, Mark, what then do we do?
Well, what you want to do is you want to run the Nerds to Magic verification utility. But before you can run the utility, you're going to need to obtain a full copy of your membership data. So how do you get a copy of your membership data? You do that by going to realtor.org, logging on with your NRDS credentials, and navigating to the NRDS menu of services to obtain a batch refresh. Let me show you how to do that. To get the batch refresh, once you've logged on to NRDS, you'll navigate to the NRDS menu. At the bottom of the menu, there is an option for batch refresh. You'll click on that link. Then you'll be presented with some options. The first is to select a file type. We need that file type to be fixed length. Second, you're going to select refresh form to email the file. We want that file emailed to you. Once you select your criteria, you'll select refresh now, and Nerds will generate a batch refresh for you. So let's summarize. How do you get the Nerds data for comparison? You need to obtain a batch refresh. Your criteria needs to be very specific so we can process the file. The file needs to be fixed length. You'll select email the file, then refresh now. A couple of hints. The email may take a little bit of time to arrive, so please be patient. Also, check your junk mail and spam box. Once the email arrives, save the file to your network, for example, on the R drive in the directories RAP, NAR, NRDSN.
Thanks, Mark. So once we have that data, how are we going to compare it to our membership data in Magic? We're going to do that by using the Nerds verification utility. And Mark is going to take us to Magic so we can show you how to get there and how to use that form. We're going to click on Managers, Data Exchange, and Retrieve Transmittals. We're going to use the Utilities tab and select the Nerds verification button. Once that form is open, we're going to zoom into the sender field and select our sender, and then zoom into the association field. If you happen to be POE from more than one association, you can select more than one. In most cases, you'll only be point of entry for one, so you'll select one. Zoom into the bill type field and select any realtor member or non-member salespersons, anyone whose count matters to you in terms of what you're going to be charged by NAR. Once you're done there, you're going to go to the status selection. You're going to zoom into that field as well and select active. And then move over to the association versus NERDS, zoom in there, and select active again. We are going to deal with office and member information. We're not concerned with financial right now. And you'll notice you'll have your, whatever you choose to be your directory path will be selected. Then you're going to type in the file name, which will usually be full, followed by your association ID with NAR. And the file extension will always be zip. We're going to click on Create Report. But before we view the report, we're going to go back and summarize what we've covered here. We looked at the NERDS verification utility. This is how we're going to compare our membership data with the data at NAR. To get there, you're going to use Managers, Data Exchange, Retrieve Transmittals, Utilities, and NERDS verification. Always, we want to pay special attention to our criteria. That's going to make the difference in what we see on our report. We're going to establish a directory path wherever you decide to save that NERDS file on your network. And we're going to enter in the name of the file. For example, in our case, it was full 1577, followed by the file extension of zip. And now Mark is going to show us how to take a look at that report and make sense of it.
Okay, let's look at the report that Magic produced by comparing your membership data against the data at NERDS. The report comes out in kind of a split style screen. Information from NRDS is on the left, and information from your association database is on the right. In this case, we have office errors. If we read from left to right, you'll see the NERDS ID, the name of the office's address, and the status at NERDS. On the right, you're going to see the corresponding office number. If there's a checkbox in this column, then the record was not found in your database. So in this example, the record exists at NERDS, does not exist in your local database. If you have a checkbox under Record Not Found Office Association, that means that the record was found in your database, but it does not have the correct association. In this example, the data is inconsistent. The statuses don't match. At NERDS, the status is active. In Magic, the status is terminated. And the last error is the data is inconsistent in the name. So even though the same record exists both at NERDS and in your Magic database, the names don't match. This is comparing office records. If we go down and look at the end of this report, we'll get totals. So in this example, we read in 325 records. Of those 325 records, 45 presented us with an error, or 13.85% error rate. And then there's totals for each type of error. I'm going to go to the end of this report, and now we're going to look at a similar report, but this one is for members. Also, we've kind of turned the tables on you. In this case, information from your association database is on the left, and information from NRDS is on the right. Again, reading from left to right, you'll have the member's NERDS ID, their name, their member number, status, and bill type as it exists in Magic. If the record is not found at NERDS, there'll be a checkbox in this first column. If the record was at NERDS but the primary association mismatch, you'll have a checkbox in this column. If the data is inconsistent, in this case, this record, the status at NERDS was terminated, but it's active in your local database. And then finally, the last column is a data inconsistency for offices. The record was found at both the association and at NERDS, but in this case, the office was a mismatch. At the end of each one of these reports, you'll get a totals. How many records were read in, the total amount of errors, the percentage of error, and a total for each column that represents those errors. Let's review. So what we did is we reviewed the report that was generated out of Magic. That report will compare NRDS data to Magic, and it'll compare Magic data to NRDS. The report is exclusive for members and offices. If there's a checkbox in Record Not Found, then it indicates that a record is missing from one of those databases. If there's a data inconsistent error, it normally means that the statuses do not match. And at the end of each one of the reports, you'll see a total of records processed and a percentage of errors.
Excellent explanation. And now to summarize the webinar, we took a look at why we take care of our membership counts, why it's so important. The reason being that NAR will charge you. NAR will charge you for the number of members they show for your association, so you want to make sure your numbers match theirs. How do we get those NERDS counts so we can make sure our numbers are correct? We request a batch refresh by visiting their website. We use the NERDS verification utility in Magic to easily compare our member counts to those at NERDS. And we generate the report that the verification utility provides, and we can locate records that are not found in one database or the other, or we can correct inconsistent data or statuses.
Thank you, Diane. Let's see if there's any questions from today's audience.
Well, here's a question. Is it possible to get a corrupt file from NERDS? And if so, what do we do? Well, the answer to that question is that you can actually get a file that is corrupt from NERDS. It doesn't happen very often, but if you try to load that information into the data verification form and the report doesn't look right, the information is not usable, you can request a fresh file from NERDS and run it again. You usually don't get a corrupt file twice, and as I say, it's a very rare occurrence. And looking through the questions again, is there documentation on this process?
Actually, there is documentation. Because this is a step-by-step process, we've already documented it, and you can print it out at any time. Let me tell you how to do that. I'm going to navigate back to Magic, and if you go to the Help pull-down in Magic, then select About Support, and click on the Magic Resource Center, that will take you to Rapattoni's website for support for Rapattoni Magic. By selecting Magic support articles, it will take you to our library of all support articles. In this case, I'm going to type in a keyword of NRDS, then select Go, and it'll bring back 13 support articles that contain NRDS. The steps we covered today, we've already documented, and that's under the NERDS to Magic verification and comparison report. If you click on it, you'll receive instructions. It's a step-by-step report on everything that we've covered today on how to request a batch refresh and how to run the NERDS verification utility.
Yeah, it even includes a screenshot so you can fill out that form easily.
That's right. Any other questions? Here's a question. Is there a way to compare other records between NRDS and your Magic data, such as certifications or education records? Currently, we've only written a utility that compares basic membership and office data. So there aren't any other utilities to compare things such as certifications or education records at this time. Next question. We do not have the module that uploads to NERDS from Rapattoni. We manually input from Magic, then go to NERDS and do the input there. Well, you're doing double duty. That's a lot of work to enter in two places. If you are interested in purchasing the Rapattoni Data Exchange module that communicates with NERDS, please contact our support department and get more information on that. That looks like our last question, Diane.
Okay.
If anybody has any questions following this webinar, you can always email your questions to webinars@rapattoni.com, and we would be happy to answer them for you. Or you can always contact support. And now it's time for the Rapattoni Wrap-Up.
As always, to view past and future webinars and to register for upcoming webinars, visit our website at www.rapattoni.com. Click on Support, Magic, Webinars and Training Videos, and you'll see our entire library of training videos. You can also see upcoming webinars that you may want to register for. Also, you can find any of our Magic resource articles, including that covering today's topic, by going to Support, Magic, and Magic Resource Articles.
That concludes today's webinar. As a reminder, our next Magic webinar will be held on March 27th, 2013. That's right around the corner, Diane.
That's right.
We're going to tackle contributions. In this presentation, we'll guide you through the different methods of tracking membership contributions, as well as understanding the reporting options of the contribution managers. I'm looking forward to that one.
Me too. Very, very useful.
Thanks to all the participants, and we will talk to you again next month.
See you next time.